Hi, good evening. This is Barb Bacon. I'm a community advocate here in South Charlotte. Generally, I drive people around and to doctor's appointments, and I'm getting ready to have my sign-up list for taking people to vote. Buttons, once again, are, I believe in healthcare for all. I've got some people that don't believe in Medicare for all. Gun violence, let's get some control of guns, and Black Lives Matter in honor of our friend Joel that passed away last year. So that's it, guys.
Hello, this is Jenny-Jaymes Gunn. I am a community advocate here in Charlotte, North Carolina for LGBT women's rights with the National Organization for Women, gun sense laws with Moms to Men Action, and anything that extends equity to all. Thank you.
Hey, I'm Christian Cano. You're the co-host. My buttons are Moms to Men Action, gun sense legislation, healthcare for all, Medicare for all, and also in my heart, Black Lives Matter on behalf of Joe Oldham, who's a guest of ours who passed away last year. That's it. Yes, yep, I can hear it. Finally.
My phone is being taxed here.
Well, good morning, everybody, and especially to all the MAGA weirdos out there that are watching this. I'm back. Happy 2023, and I've been on a hiatus, but this is Coffee Pan Dulce, and I guess this will air with the last Wednesday of the month next week.
The 25th.
So we've changed up our filming schedule again, and it just worked out better for everybody, and not recording to the midnight on Monday night anymore.
Yes.
But as my schedule changed and as I had to readjust to my new career path.
Well, congratulations.
Early morning. I had to sort out a lot of things, and it got a little crazy and a little stressful, but you know, hey, that's life in the holidays. So, but anyway,
crazy is normal, Jenny.
Well, in my life, I lived the La Vida Loca. So to say on I literally felt seen whenever that song came out. I was like, oh, they actually see me living. That if I clearly don't pick the normal path. I mean, in any way, fashion or form, I'm stranger than duck lips. So that is just like even I have family members that have said, "You never pick the easy or the regular path." I said, that is true. Of all the things that have been said about me, that's never been a truer statement. So anyway, this is Coffee Pan Dulce with my friend Barb Bacon and Christian Cano. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Good morning. Well, welcome back, Jen. We missed you a lot, and it's good to have everyone. Thank everyone for joining us on Coffee Pan Dulce. As Jenny said, I'm Christian Cano, one of your co-hosts, along with Jenny Gunn, Barb Bacon. We do have with us MAGA Trump baby Pinata and Democracy Bernie, who will be leaving the show, so you can see, if you're watching this, you can see more of us. If you're listening to us, you don't even know they're there. So,
really.
So, all right. So today's topic is actually GOP's war on MAGA. Are there still good Republicans? But before we do that, let's go ahead and talk about Barb's current events.
And this is Barb's current events.
Well, all right. So let's talk about Barb's current events. Barb's the three current events we have today. I'm going to steal one of them from you, Jen.
Okay.
So I apologize in advance. There was an article that came out in the New Yorker, and the title was "The Donald Trump's Cult is Falling Apart."
Mm-hmm.
They talk about how the evangelicals are leaving him, about the only ones that are really sticking with him are some of the Proud Boys or the Proud Girls are leaving him. So, that's the first topic. The second topic is hours into her term, the Arkansas governor, Sarah Huckabee, banned the term Latinx in anything that is written that's produced by the state government.
What?
That's the second topic. Yes, it's a bizarre, it's one of these outrage things. And then the last topic I'm stealing from Jenny on her show, so you have to watch her show later so you understand what I'm talking about. There's a congressperson, well, this has been floating around for a long time, but there's a congressperson who is the Republican Party. They have want to open up the idea of raising the age to retirement to receive Social Security. So those are Barb's three current events. We'll let you start, Jen, and then we'll go into you, Barb, because I know you have a lot to talk about Social Security. But you go first, Jen.
Well, I mean, first of all, that congressman from Georgia that we talked about in the Two Queer show, what a whack job. I mean, and the stupid stuff that he said around it, as far as, well, people just want to work longer, and I'm going. That may be true for some people, but it's not true for everybody. That's first of all, is that Social Security is a promissory note. It's federal law, and clearly it's not applicable to everybody. And there are people that retire early. They get they medically retire and they go on a Social Security disability. And there's so many reasons to go on Social Security. And quite frankly, we pay into it. That this shouldn't be, I think if anybody's going to retire anybody, we need to retire that congressman. That would be anybody that suggests people want to work longer and that I'll just change the rules for them, that should be an automatic exit out of Congress like that day. Just like, hey, thanks, but no thanks, but you're fired. Just walk that son of a bitch out. Second one was the Trump base. I said this in 2019 and people laughed at me, but I'm going to repeat it again. First of all, I was right. Second of all, those type of people, whack-a-muffins like that, are always going to turn on each other. They just are.
Exactly. Yep.
His base. I mean, we lived through.
It's about time. It's about time.
Because they've got another kook in line, or a couple kooks in line, to replace Trump that are even kookier and stupider than he is, if that's even humanly possible. So there is that too. They do. Trump's just been played out. The most important thing, I don't even remember what the third topic was.
The governor, Sarah Palin, Governor Palin. I'm sorry, Sarah Huckabee. She's
the same brain. They literally share the same brain. But Governor Huckabee is a fucking idiot. Between them banning medical treatments for trans kids in that state last year, and getting their panties in a wad about the word Latinx. I've seen some dumb things come from Republicans, and it is Arkansas, so you do have to keep in mind that the average IQ is room temperature in that state. Like, there's a lot of uncle daddies running around in that state, if you know what I mean. The family tree, well, the state tree is the pine tree because there's not a lot of branches, and it goes straight up and down for the most part. Which is about the only thing straight about the Republican Party, because it is the gayest party ever. I mean,
exactly.
Cocaine. But what a bunch of whack-a-muffins that you get newly installed, and you're so worried about it. And Huckabee's not even. She's whiter than me, and I'm
exactly.
who gives a fuck if somebody wants to use Latinx or Chicano or Hispanic or whatever? Like, what does it matter to a white Republican overprivileged idiot governor if somebody takes the word Latin and throws an X on the end?
Exactly.
You'd think that they were taking away stoves in Arkansas. Gas stoves.
Yeah. Gas stoves.
Maybe they should.
Yeah. Hey, exactly. This is what happens.
I noticed that they don't shut down the access to Grindr.
Yeah.
Oh, exactly. That's true. You would think though. So, all right, that's gonna be my joke. Okay. Hey, Barb, you want to comment on any of those three?
Well, let's do Huckabee first.
Okay.
From everything I've heard and read lately, the Republicans are trying to win the Latinx, Chicano, whatever they want to call themselves. Why do they do this? They need to build on their base. They're losing it. Makes no sense. But she's a Huckabee. So, I mean, look what her dad's doing. What's he selling? Another nutritional product or something?
Exactly.
He's I don't know. I couldn't stand him either. But anyway, she's a loser. As far as this congressman goes, what a selection of the strangest people elected I've ever seen. And I was watching a guy on YouTube. I don't know what his name is, but he said, don't expect them to be politicians. Expect them to be political actors acting out for their base. They're not going to do their job. They're not going to pass laws. They're going to be obstructionists. Don't expect the typical politician from any of them. The only redeeming factor was they didn't listen to Trump. They could care less what he said to them. And so that leads into the other thing. Trump is fading. We'll see what happens to him. I'm still waiting for him. Mr. Trump, will you put out your wrists, please? You know, people are saying they don't think. Now, I heard on the Sunday morning talk shows that Roundtable, I think it was on ABC, saying, well, now that Biden's got trouble with confidential documents, Trump is untouchable. And I'm like sitting there going, it's not apples and apples. It's
completely different. Yeah.
Entirely different things. And if he thinks that's his get out of jail free card, I hope I'm wrong. But I mean, you've got lawyers for Trump walking him to the Department of Justice saying we found these. Yeah. And it sure didn't seem like it was nuclear weapons information or anything. It was the low end of classified. So, but my question is, if the archive people went after Trump for him to return the things that he took with him, how come they weren't coming to Biden and saying, where's your stuff?
Well,
how did he have to turn it in?
So there's a couple legal differences. First of all, the amount of records in each case, I think Biden's was 12 or 14, somewhere between there and like 20 documents spread over 2 facilities. Trump's was 1,100 missing documents.
Yeah.
The second thing is the Biden's deal was both cases of it, or both sets of documents in those 2 different facilities, was all voluntary. The moment they saw the oversight themselves,
exactly, they didn't take a year to have to get them.
Or get a subpoena.
And whereas with Trump, it required they had to go to a court in Florida to get a judge to order a subpoena. Former president.
Plus, he said he declassified them, so he knew he had them
in his mind. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah. He has a little bit of the George Santos disease. I declassified those right after I got us out of Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, that's the ticket.
That's the ticket. Yeah,
that's the ticket.
I asked my wife, Morgan Fairchild.
That's right. I'm the president of New York. Yeah, the president of the Emperor of New York. That's right.
And I wear no pants. But anyway, but see, one of the weird things whether it's this Medicare thing, I mean, not Medicare, but Social Security, or the LatinX thing in Arkansas. Either one of those, like if they're trying to convert Latinx and Hispanic voters in Arkansas, which there is a large population in northern Arkansas in agriculture, most of them are new arrivals, meaning...
And they couldn't vote anyway.
Yeah, and they live in abject poverty.
Not according to the Republicans. They think they all vote, so...
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's true.
I mean, not as often as their wives do 23 times in Iowa, but anyway, you know, like, but I think they, I don't know if they just don't know who their base is, but especially with Social Security, we talked about this on the show before. Like when I think of Republicans, I think of older white people.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
People at or near retirement age.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm like, nothing would appeal to your base more as saying, hey, I'm going to take away the option for you to retire at a certain age.
Exactly.
I'm gonna pop that up to 75 or whatever cockamamie age, imaginary age, and then I'm gonna tell them, well, hey, y'all wanted to work longer. Like to be what you look at the base of the Republican Party, it's distinctly older than the Democrats. You can see it when you see the little clown show rallies that he does and everything else. There's a lot of older white people, my age and older. And the second thing is, I mean, those are the kind of people that go out and vote.
Yes.
And to turn around and say, you know, screw you. Not only do I want you to work longer, but also want to privatize your money. You know, like it's a very bizarre.
It really went over for Baby Bush, didn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. It did Texas a lot of good when they privatized the prisons and the energy companies. Their costs have never been higher. In fact, it's so high that they can't even raise enough money to fund their schools.
Exactly.
And you know, Texas
the teachers
budget crisis every year.
Yeah.
And so,
hey, listen.
I know we need to move on.
Yeah, Barbara. Jen, last week I kept calling Barb Jen, and then this week I'm going to call Jen Barb. All right, so hey, let's take our first break. Our first break is going to be about our sponsor and supplier, Manolo's Bakery. So we'll be right back on Coffee and Pan Dulce.
Hey, y'all! The holidays are coming up, and what better way to celebrate locally than with Manolo's Bakery's fine goods and services? They have amazing chocolate cakes, is what they're known for. Tres Leches cakes, tamales. Get your tamales orders in early, especially if you're going to order for Thanksgiving, because they sell out fast. But they have an amazing bakery and restaurant there on the east side of Charlotte, and you're missing out. Plus, you should support your Black and brown businesses and shop local and shop small to really keep the economy going. Thanks for watching, and shop with Manolo's this year.
Well, welcome back. And you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to, because I can't see you, Barb. Salute to our neighbors, whatever you're drinking this morning. I'm actually just poured myself some coffee. Just want to say that. So, hey, real quickly on the three topics before we go into our main topic, our Barb's three topics. The Donald Trump cult falling apart. I think it's funny. There was an article that said that Donald Trump is trying to break up with the evangelicals before they break up with him. Isn't that like something in high school that you like hear about? No, I didn't break up with her. She didn't break up with me. I jumped her, you know? And so that's so childish. The one about the Social Security thing, Jenny, when you watch Jenny's show later on, she goes into this a little bit more deeply, but I'm just like, Barbara to me is like the canary in the coal mine for us on this show. Barbara has been talking about Social Security for a while now. Remember, Barb? She's been concerned about it. She's exactly what Jenny is saying, that voting class is thinking about. So if I was a Democrat running for office, I would pound on it. Hey, they're the ones recommending this.
You bet.
And the last one, the Latinx thing, Jenny was exactly correct. There is a larger population, believe it or not, in Arkansas that they're more agriculture individuals. The first immigrant, second generation. It shows you how Sarah Huckabee has no clue about the Latinx culture or the Latino culture, whatever term you use. Several reasons, because when I read this story, and people have been talking about it the last week, the people who are against using the term Latinx are generally not even Latinx. They're white MAGA people. Secondly, if you are a Latinx or a Latino or Chicano, whatever term you use, and you don't like it, you're usually a voter that is 55 and older. You're either voting for Republicans or you're voting for Democrats. You're not a swing voter. Thirdly, if you're using the term Latinx, you're a younger, more educated voter, which is a Democrat. Lastly, this was her very first official governor. She did an executive order. Of all the problems in Arkansas, whatever they may be, that was the most important issue for her. But how arrogant it was, that's like telling African Americans, you can't use the word black.
Yeah.
I mean, how arrogant to tell a community, you can't use this. So basically what she's saying on any official government document in Arkansas, it has to say the word Latinos or Latinas, which is what Latinx means. So a lot of educators around the country have been talking about what she's been doing because it's one of those fake outrage. I'm outraged at people in the Latinx community. You either use it or you don't. There's not a lot of outrage, in our community about it. There's another term that you can use. It's called Latin E. Instead of the X, it's an E. Some people have said, well, okay, I'll just use Latin E. It's not for Sarah Huckabee or for people who aren't in our community to determine what we use. It's for us to determine. We use the term Latinx on here because that's the term that's being used in our region and other areas. If in a year from today, the scholars who I would pay more attention to than are let's say the younger Latinos and Latinas, if they start using the term Latin E, I'll use the term Latin E. I'm a Tejano, so I use Tejano, but out of respect for women and men or the genders and our gender equality in our community, I use Latinx. So anyway, I thought that was...
And it's just a very bizarre take
to be upset about.
When again, it's this supposed anti-wokeness that they're doing.
Exactly.
But it's at a level of cartoonish stupid. It's like they're making fun of themselves by being themselves. And she woke up that morning and said, well, I'm gonna sign that executive order. We can't use Latinx anymore. And a redneck like that, an inbred redneck like Sarah Huckabee, that is only governor because of her
dad was.
And
exactly.
And his large amount of corporate donors that he's able to raise. And the bizarre thing is, and I used to live near Arkansas for years when I lived in Branson, Missouri. It's only 8 miles from the Arkansas-Missouri border. And so I very much understand the culture of Arkansas, or lack thereof. And I mean, literally, if the toothbrush was invented in there, it definitely would have been called teeth brush. And I mean, like we're not talking about our best and brightest as far as the state is concerned. I mean, it's really just like northern Mississippi. It's the Ku Klux Klan world headquarters is in Arkansas. It's a very bizarre, very weird state.
It's a beautiful state. It's a pretty state.
Yeah.
In case for those who are watching us from Arkansas.
I've only driven through it. I've not stopped there. That's not true. I wasn't really luck.
It is a very beautiful state. There's parts of Arkansas I really enjoyed to visit. There's a lot of it I could care less about. But truthfully, when you're talking about the idiocy, this really encapsulates what the Republican Party is now. It's even worse than when Reagan was in charge. Jesse Jackson turned Reagan all profiles and smiles, and basically he's just vapid and with no substance. The Republican Party is worse now than it was then, and it was pretty bad then, is that they have no humanity to them. They don't give two shits about Americans. They only want to subsidize power. They want power. They want money. They want control. They don't care about policy. They don't even care about the policies they say they care about. They don't care about gay people. There's more gay Republicans than there are gay Democrats.
Exactly.
Especially in the party and in the staffing. Like,
yes,
they are no stranger to the penis pool. And so we have to be realistic with who we're talking about. We're talking about people. Trump's never probably been in a church. He's been in a lot of casinos. We know he's been in a lot of whorehouses. We know, but this dude he can't even hold up the Bible.
Yeah.
I was going to say, if he can't even hold up a Bible properly. Yep.
You know, there's probably a lot of things that he has a problem holding up with those little hands. But literally, you know, you're talking about this guy that got appointed by the evangelicals, got funded by these radical alt-right wing Nazi Christo terrorists, and they appointed this fool. And I'm going, whatever y'all think he stands for, probably is not even similar to what you think you stand for. And they don't even know what they're. So it's very, very bizarre party. It's a very, very bizarre behaviors. But yeah, what you talk about a waste of time.
But you know what, Jenny? And I mean, what is so crazy? This I get upset, but not to the level when I saw this weekend, and I was camping, and I saw it come across my phone. This upsets me so much, even though I don't live in Arkansas. And we, Jenny, because you've been handling our social media and stuff like that. We get a lot before the War on Drag Queen show. This was the hottest topic that we got trolled about. Latinx is racist term, this, and yada yada yada. And that was our kind of our funny kind of back and forth with a lot of our trolls, right?
Well,
this was the hottest topic.
You guys, who determined it was racist? Who determined that?
They did. The white people.
Well, white people are telling you guys you're racists? Huh.
Yes. So, but here's what's so funny. To me, this is what's humorous. Sarah and all of the anti-woke individuals who are using this term because they feel like if they jump on this bandwagon about using the term Latinx, they're going to win over the Latinx community. They obviously have no idea what the Latinx community. If you are an older Latino, Latina, and you don't use the term Latinx, you're not using it. You're not going to change your mind politically. Okay, it doesn't work like that. The people that are using this are under 35, younger Latinos, which are the majority of our voters.
I was going to say,
the very high percentages. They are not going to stop using it because some person tells them not to use it. But more importantly, it's the arrogance of this. Those who remember during the Reagan era, Hispanic, and we talked about this before, the term Hispanic was used. There was outrage within the Chicano and Tejano music. We are not Hispanic. We're Tejanos. We're Chicanos. Eventually, what happened was our community made the decision through the free market. All right, we'll use the term Hispanic. So the government adopted the term Hispanic because the community was okay with it. There are still people today that will not use the term Hispanic, which is why they're called the Latin American Chamber of Commerce, not the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. These are older Latinos who were against the term Hispanic. Who ends up usually winning are the more educated, more prosperous people in your community. That is our younger Latinx people. They are the ones that are using the term. That will overcome. So if I thought, thinking for me, because I remember going through the Hispanic, I remember going through the gay, LGBTQ plus term, the people who usually win what your community is called are the people who will usually win that war, so to speak, if that's even a term. the younger Latinos, Latinas have made the determination that they want to be respectful, gender neutral. They work in our professional world. They use the term Latinx, which is why corporate America has adopted the term Latinx, because they know that is the term that's going to win. Now, when I say the term Latin E, that is another term that some people have used. If that is what eventually happens, I don't see that happening, because Latinx has already caught on. And so it is so foolish. It's this fake outrage that makes me so upset, because it is, I guess in a way, I'm also kind of upset at our Black brothers and sisters, because imagine if she had said, you can't use the term Black. I mean, how arrogant for you to tell us the term that we can use, but they're smart enough to know, I don't want to go there. You know what I mean?
But also too, at the end of the day, and this, I apply this to our own community, the LGBT community, but specifically trans people. At the end of the day, what does it matter?
Exactly.
What does it matter? What is your investment into my body?
Exactly.
Why are you so insanely worried about what genitalia that you're upset? Republicans are obsessed with genitalia, by the way. They love to talk about other people's genitalia for some reason, especially kids' genitalia, which is very bizarre. And kind
Party of projection.
It's the same thing that if I don't have any opinion on what to use for the Latinx community, because I'm not a member of the Latinx community. I'm not ethnically, I've adopted that community. I grew up in a predominantly Hispanic Latinx city and a culture and a state that has a tremendous amount of Latinx proud Tejanos. But at the end of the day, if the community itself wants to adopt certain terms, or they want to evolve their language to be more inclusive, to be less harmful, to be less misogynist or bigoted or whatever. Whatever, just like the Black community, I put up on my Instagram story or Instagram page and on my Facebook page this interview with Dr. King. I think it was in 1967. And it was an NBC interview, and they were both using the term Negro. And, of course, that evolved from Negro to African-American to Black to, people of color to Black Indigenous people of color. And that language has evolved, and depending on who you talk to and what generation you're talking about, there's really, you'll see an evolution of language. And and even in our own community, the term queer 30 years ago was a slur. And now, now we use it as gender queer.
We took back the term.
We took back the term.
Yeah, remember when I asked you if it was okay to say that anymore?
Yeah.
I mean,
well, you can't, Barb.
Guys to decide, not anybody else.
But it's really, really bizarre when the group of people that always play the victim, conservatives in society, that are always woe is me, get mad about a term that has nothing to do with that specific person.
Exactly.
To deal with Huckabee, that you sit down and of all the pressing things that Arkansas probably needs, like universal dental care, a ban on child brides and incest. I mean, especially with that one family that has like 400 babies. That poor woman's uterus just,
Oh God, yeah.
I mean, has to look like the channel underneath the English Channel, and after the baby she's had, and of all the things that Arkansas needs to address, which is they have a plethora of challenges as a state, that the first thing that she's going to do as a governor-elect,
that's crazy,
is to ban Latinx off all Arkansas state paperwork and websites and so forth. Just cue the banjos.
Hey, Jenny, that's exactly what I thought when I read that.
I'm a freaking
banjo music.
I have nothing better to do than worry about them adding an X to the word Latin on paperwork that's probably already set in the system. That some poor intern programmer is probably going to
it's got to go through all the paperwork,
resetting something, or they're going to be in violation of some friggin' stupid inbred idea.
Yeah.
You know?
So good point, because LatinX is this big, but now they have to change all of the forms to say Latino/Latina this big. They're going to have to move everything anyway. That's their problem. All right, listen, we're going to take our second break, and then we will come back and talk about our topic. Yeah. So we'll be right back on Coffee and Pan Dulce. Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for watching our Coffee and Pan Dulce show every week. Don't forget, you can watch us visually on our video podcast platforms on Facebook and YouTube, but you can also listen to us on your favorite audio podcast platforms like Apple, Amazon, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and all of the other ones that your favorite, whatever your favorite is. Once again, thank you for watching us on Coffee and Pan Dulce. We'll dance out. Well, welcome back, everyone, and thank you. It's so good to have you back, Jenny. I haven't been this lively in the morning since I don't know when. All right.
I'm like a human sack of caffeine.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm sure the content of F-bombs was a lot lower with you guys.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right. So listen, GOP's war on MAGA. Are there still good Republicans? We've been on the air, or we've been doing this since 2018. So we've been on for a while, and we've had a wide variety of people on the show, especially when we were live. But we've had 3-4 politics shows. Candidates that were running were from all parties. We sent an invite to all of the individuals that I remember as Republican. Not one of them replied back to want to be on this show. Are there still good Republicans? I don't know what that means. I do believe there are still good ones, but I just think it's interesting you can't come on and defend your own party, which I don't blame them. You know, I get it.
Matthew Ridenhour didn't respond.
That's one of them.
Yeah.
The only one I didn't send an invite to was Richard Rivette, because he's so. And Jenny would have had my neck if I had even done that. So I got a little bit of common sense still.
He's just a moron. I mean, honestly, like his behavior, like some of them are pretty problematic and say some pretty stupid things, especially lately. But good gosh, like he's one of them that won't get invited back as long as I'm on the show. Like,
yeah, he's a little cuckoo. So GOP's war on MAGA. If you've watched this show, which if you're watching, you obviously do watch the show. We had a very, very successful show that's still getting hits. It was a special. It was called MAGA's War on Drag Queens. And man, my goodness gracious, it's up to like 20,000 now viewers, and I don't know how many thousands and thousands of listeners. And so this is kind of a take on that. There is currently a civil war in the Republican Party between what they call the mainstream Republicans and the MAGA Republicans. It was on full display, as Jenny will talk about in her show after this one, during the speakership election, where the mainstream Republicans, 200 of some, I don't know, 200, I don't know how many of them.
220, I think.
Yeah, no, the ones that were standing by McCarthy, and then you had 20 or so off and on that were against him. Those were the MAGAs. They stood hard. We have my former congressperson here in North Carolina is one of the MAGAs.
Mm-hmm.
Marjorie Taylor Greene, believe it or not, even though she is a MAGA, she was on the mainstream. She's trying to change her image, as Jenny has been mentioning. But, you know, Boebert, all the crazy ones were on the, on the MAGA side. There is currently a war. So you could see it on full display. They're not listening to Trump. Trump has no, to your point, Barbara, Trump's influence is diminishing. They don't even care about it. They were talking about that all week long, that he can't. They're just going, okay, thank you, but I'm going to vote the way because I'm not afraid of you anymore.
Yep.
What happened on that Thursday when they closed? Two of the people who are what they call part of the mainstream Republican Party, for the first time ever, I actually heard, at least for the first time since Trump has been influencing the party, basically came out and said what we have been saying, that they are the extremists. He didn't use trailer trash, but he did say a lot of choice words about, they're just, this is what I'm not voting. I'm voting for McCarthy because we got to kick these idiots. He didn't say idiots, but that's what he was talking about, out of our party. And he was willing to stand. They were willing to go as long as they could to prevent them from taking it over. And he basically, you could tell that civil war was coming around. Yesterday, we filmed this on Wednesday. So I'm talking about yesterday, which was whatever yesterday was.
Tuesday.
A senior Republican from Florida did not get the speakership, a committee speakership, and basically came out and said, McCarthy set me up because the person that got the speakership was a younger person that he brokered a deal with to get his votes. And the senior person said he is going to make McCarthy pay.
Mm-hmm.
So he may resign. We don't know what's going to happen, but this is what Jenny has been talking about. And yes, we did not always believe her in 2019, but I do believe her, and we'll have to roll the tape. They are destroying themselves within. They're fighting. Margie Taylor Greene is on a weekly basis having a cat fight. She followed Boebert into the restroom in Congress to allegedly to argue with her and to talk about how, whatever. So there is a civil war. I'm not losing sleep over it. I'm getting the popcorn out. I'm all excited because the more they fight, the
less work they get done, the better 2024 is for us.
Exactly. And I hope that it convinces those people who are concerned about chaos, which there are a lot, will say, listen, we gave you the House. You still didn't do anything. And you told us, even though we only gave it to you by a few votes, we can't afford you. It's just too crazy for us. So, Jenny, let's let you start off. I know you've been predicting this war. It is officially a war. DeSantis and Trump are on silent treatment with each other. What are your thoughts?
I mean, this is the thing, and we've seen Republicans tear each other apart before. I mean, back in the Newt Gingrich days,
Tea Party days, yep.
Yeah, it was the Tea Party douchebag versus the other Republicans, and it was like dumb versus dumber, and it's on full display when you see 20 of these mouth breathers holding McCarthy hostage and basically extorted a deal out of him to where he literally has none of the normal powers and authority that a typical speaker would have, even a Republican speaker like Paul Ryan, which was the previous Republican speaker, from the early days of Trump.
Yeah.
And what McCarthy's like a speaker in name only because he gave so many concessions and brokered so many deals with so many Republicans. I don't even think he knows how many deals he made. And of course, we're not talking about the smartest people. Like, none of these are going to get a Rhodes Scholarship or anything like that anytime soon. I mean, Boebert barely got a GED, and I think she got a Mercy GED at that from the state of Colorado. Like, I think they just said, you don't keep coming back and harassing us.
Get out of here.
Here's a piece of paper. You passed the test on some kind of standard. You fogged up a mirror. You're getting into Congress. Like, we'll give you this right before you go into Congress.
But there's nothing on the paper. That's okay. It's written in invisible ink. Okay.
It's the same amount of information that's between their ears. Okay, yes. But this is the thing: is the biggest downfall of the Republican Party is the same problem that the Nazi Party had. Is when you all have, if they have 220 members in Congress, they've got 220 agendas.
Yeah.
They have no platform. They haven't had a platform since Trump has been president. They have nothing but complaints. It's the party of whining and complaining. They literally have no solutions. Magically, inflation disappeared all of a sudden. The moment that they took power in January.
Yeah, they're not talking about it anymore.
We haven't seen one anti-inflation bill even being suggested. And they had 60 days to get out their crayons and bar napkins and write down a plan before they took power. The same thing with the speakership. We talked about this on this. They had 60 days. It wasn't like we knew that McCarthy was all but calling himself the speaker.
Yep.
In November.
He moved into the office.
He literally moved into office. You know, it's not a shock. It's not like these idiots, like all of a sudden McCarthy came out of nowhere. It was assumed Kevin McCarthy was going to become the speaker.
Yeah.
And so these people have no plan, no platform. They don't care that they don't have a platform. It doesn't matter to them.
It's all about entertainment for them. Yeah.
It is a reality shit show.
That's exactly what it feels like.
The party of anti-family values. And they don't care. They hate Americans anyway. They just want to get it.
Hey Jen, I'm gonna get with Barbara real quickly, and then we got to take our last break to talk about your show, and then I want to ask you, how do you think that's going to affect us locally? So, Barb, what are your thoughts about this war within the party? Are you seeing it?
Definitely seeing it. I am not surprised. I remember when Jenny started talking about it, and I praying that she was right, because they're also wishy-washy. How do you know?
Yeah.
The most disgusting thing for me was watching Dan Bishop on national television Sunday kissing Trump's ass.
Yes.
I'm like, you have got, and doing that toothy grin that he does. I just want to slap him. And he's our senator.
You talking about Ted Budd, or are you talking about Dan Bishop, the congressperson?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, Dan Bishop, our congressman.
Yeah, the congressperson. Yeah.
And then Ted Budd is still kissing Trump's butt. I'm like, what are you guys doing? But Dan Bishop was on national television. So his programs. Oh, come on.
So here's the question. You know what? Let's take our last break, and then we'll come back and talk about this, how this affects us locally. So if you like what you're hearing, Jenny does have a show. It's been an encore presentation, but when you see this, which is the 25th, she'll have a new one out. It's called Two Queers in a Truck, and this commercial talks about that show. We'll be right back on Coffee and Pan Dulce.
Up next is Two Queers in a Truck with Jenny and Christian. And hope you guys tune in. We'll see you in about 15 to 20 minutes. Thank you. Bye.
Pan Dulce. Pan Dulce. Pan Dulce. Hold on. Coffee and Pan Dulce. Oh, that's what I should do the opening for. All right. Welcome back, everyone, to Coffee and Pan Dulce. So, welcome back, everyone. Here's the question. We're those who watch us and follow us may know or may not know that Barb and I are in Charlotte, North Carolina. Jenny's a little bit further than where we live, but Barb and I, Dan Bishop was our congressperson. Now we have a new one, the new 14th district. The just like in the movie The Campaign, we now have 14 districts. Except our new congressperson is TikTok star Jeff Jackson. He is our new young up and rising star, and he's a new congressperson. But the old one, Dan Bishop, was all in on Trump, but didn't follow Trump's advice and vote for McCarthy. He was a MAGA kind of he's a chaos kind of person. Chaos. He lives in the big city of Charlotte, but he acts like he's a rural farmer kind of yoki-doki person. The party hates Dan Bishop because he is so obstruction. He's almost just like he is Madison Cawthorn's grandpapa. That's how he acts. That's how he is. But the reason that they have kind of let him because he does have a very strong evangelical base that Franklin Graham supports him bigly. He's like this pro-life guy. he has a lot of volunteers that volunteer when he runs for office, but they don't like him. Even to the point that I remember when he was running for office, the Forrest, what was the one who ran for governor? Forrest, Dan Forrest?
Yeah. Dan Forrest, yep.
I met Dan Forrest at an event, the Mallard Creek Barbecue, and Dan Forrest looked at Dan Bishop and said, "I hate that guy." and Dan Forrest was lieutenant governor at the time.
Yep.
And so here's the funny thing. So Jenny, how do you think this war, do you think is going to impact the primaries in 2024? Like with the Marjorie Taylor Greens and like all of these, the mainstream people and all of that. Or do you think it is?
I don't think it's going to affect it so much, the primaries. I do think a lot of these current Republicans, especially the ones that are first termers in purple to blue states like New York and California, they got voted in, they're going to get voted out. Like I think that swing amount of Republicans, I think, people like Lauren, Boebert, for example, the won by 500 votes. I think she definitely loses next cycle.
Well, they'll primary him, don't you think?
I don't think so. I think
don't.
I don't think so, and I'll tell you why. Because 2 years is a long time.
Yeah,
and the Republican Party is going to be desperate to hold the House.
Yeah,
and I don't think. I think if they were going to primary people, they would have done it in the midterms.
Okay.
And gamble.
See, I disagree with you, Jenny. I think they were so freaking arrogant about the midterms, and they were not listening. I think if they're going to primary people, it will be the next election, or they're just going to let them all go crazy, and they'll stay in chaos for years if they don't do something.
Yeah.
Well, I think the risk and Republicans don't like voluntarily giving up their power, no matter how stupid the current people are. Like, I mean, the same way with Trump. If they were really smart, the Republican Party would have had Trump step down during the COVID crisis.
Yep.
And rolled Pence up as president and let him run as an incumbent. That would have been the smart play. They say, hey. He could have made whatever excuse he was. He still could have gone on his little grifting tour anyway, and played the victim. But instead, he ended up being a loser and he lost.
Yeah.
And so I think the Republican Party is going to ride this horse like they always do. They did it with Reagan Bush. They rode that horse until the horse bucked them. And I think Republican voters are not the smartest voters in the world. They vote against their own interests, so you're not going to see a conservative party like that is not going to make very revolutionary changes. That is here's the democratic traits.
So Jen, here's the question. Question, because you've been right about a lot of these things. How are they going to deal with? And this is why I was hoping that we at least have one, even Cal Kirby, someone. Come on, and give us some hope, or even one of the gay Republicans, which we've never had one of them, but one of your friends, and stuff.
Got Lindsey Graham.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And I was a closet one, not a closet one though.
So how are they going to deal with? How is the Matthew Ridenhowers, which is he said he's not going to run for office anymore. He's a local person who. How are they? Or how is the Liz Cheney's and all the mainstreams, the George Bushes, the mainstream kind of Mitt Romney? How are they going to deal with the MAGA, the Proud Boy disruptor kind of individuals? How are they going to deal with those kind of Marjorie Taylor Greens? How are they going to deal with those in 2024?
They can't. That's the problem. And this is what I said in 2019, and I'm going to stay by it. The Republican Party is going to milk this. this is all pomp and circumstance. The whole Civil War, there isn't really a Civil War. There are the bad actors and there's the accomplices. These pieces of shit watched as Trump's policies and COVID failed and they looked other ways, Americans died.
Yeah.
These aren't people that are self-correcting or very, these aren't people that are willing to admit they did wrong. If they were going to go in and do a scorched earth policy in their own party and start purging people out, they would also have to say that they were complicit in the bullshit up until now, and then they'd have to admit that they were wrong.
They all have been, so
has no nature, it has no history. We're talking about Nixon on.
Yeah.
We've never seen a Republican, while they're in power, self-correct.
Yeah.
And it almost took a full-blown trial for Nixon to stand down. Like, he was going to have to get indicted. The threat of indictment what made him resign. He was going to play as a court. And so in the same way with George W. Bush, he now, kind of openly jabs his legacy of war and murder. But not so much when he was president. And they were making, and Cheney's buddies were making trillions of dollars off death and destruction.
Yeah. That's a good point that you're raising, Jen. I never really thought of it from that perspective. About, you're right, the nature of a Republican, or just the nature of a conservative, they're not the type of person that likes to self-correct. I never thought about it that way.
Well, I mean,
that's correct.
They're naturally.
I mean, that's correct that they don't like to self-correct. Yes.
I mean, that's why popes are in that job for life. It's why you see dictators like a Castro that's an authoritarian conservative that didn't give up power until he died. That's why you'll never hear Franklin Graham before he dies, hopefully in the next couple of years. You'll never see him say, "I was wrong being so hateful to the LGBT community." You'll never hear that. Yeah,
they have to get busted. They have to get busted cheating. Yeah, they have to get busted. Yeah, the preachers and the pastors that we see that get busted for cheating, molesting people, they never come out and say, "I need to let you know something." They only come out when they're busted.
Yeah, I mean, and this is the thing, is that they're, again, and the key word is self-correcting. These aren't people.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like not that the Democrats have a great history of self-correcting, but some do.
No.
But our party,
at least Cal Cunningham admitted it.
Yes.
But our party,
Cal Cunningham could have said, "No, I didn't."
But our party will predominantly, at least in the modern history, will push those Democrats to the side.
Exactly. That's a good point.
Maybe let them go a little too long.
Yeah.
And some of their racist and homophobic policies.
Yeah.
Like Cuomo, for example, we knew that he was an abuser for a while.
Sure.
They let the Democratic Party almost let that go too long in New York.
That's a good point.
But a progressive typically is going to want a political party or a political movement that has progressive tendencies is going to tend to want to cure itself. That's the whole point of being.
That's a good. That's an excellent point, Jenny. I just had an aha experience.
It's a Professor Jenny's in the house, but you got to look at the ability to have critical thinking, to be more corrective, to change, or even are willing to evolve.
That's why they don't want to teach in critical thinking.
Well, yeah,
exactly. I was going to say that too.
Hello, it's like, no, we don't want you to think like that. No.
Racists typically don't, and bigots typically don't want anybody thinking critically about what their behaviors are.
Right.
And that's the whole point, is part of introspective, part of changing a behavior, just like in AA, for example. The first thing is admission of guilt.
Exactly.
And then comes an apology.
Exactly.
And then apologizing. Yep.
And there is no fucking way the Republican Party is ever going to do that.
And that's a good point. And Jenny, that's an excellent point, because think about it. If you're watching this, we said last week that we had 2022 was a very good year for us as far as viewers and listeners. We had over 300,000 viewers and almost 500,000 listeners, a little under. And if you're watching this, note this is not scientific. Look at the people in your family, in your bubble, who are Republican, who are still a registered Republican at this second. Those are probably not the people that ever admit they're wrong.
You got
the ones that do. Yes,
yeah.
Okay, so the ones that do, the ones that are saying, maybe I need to think about this, maybe I shouldn't have this, are probably independent or Democrat. Now, the libertarians have the tinfoil hats, so it's easy to identify them.
But they have a conspiracy theory on it that has a conspiracy theory on that theory.
Yeah, exactly.
And
on that one,
watch out for Julian Assange.
On gas stoves. Hey, listen, we're running out of time, but Jenny, on Jenny's show later on, she talks about the gas stove hair on fire type of thing. And what I forgot to say on her show was that these people that are coming out saying, you'll take this stove again, you won't take this stove away unless it comes from my cold, dead hands or whatever. I wish the media would go to their house and ring the doorbell. I guarantee you they have electric stoves.
Yeah. I mean,
unless you're a chef in a multi-million-dollar house, you don't have a gas stove.
There's not.
You have an electric stove, unless you're a chef or you cook.
Again, this is one of those things. It's just like you think about Trump, for example. It's been out of office now for 2 years. Lost the election 65, 66 times with all the appeals and everything else. But instead of having a moment of clarity,
you got worse.
And sitting down with some, 60 Minutes reporter or something going, I know I lost, and I'm sorry to the American people for disappointing them. But go ahead and buy my NFT trading cards. By the way. We got some more on sale in the store. Don't worry about those copyright laws.
Yeah, exactly.
But he could, in these last 2 years, he could have changed himself or changed his stars. If he really wants to run in 2024, which I don't think he's going to be able to. But if he can't,
I don't think so either. I think
he's not in the pokey by 2024.
Hey, you guys, I have to go. The plumber's here.
Oh yeah.
Well, hey, perfect timing. We got to wrap the show up. So, with that said, thank you, Barbara.
I'll see you next week. Yes.
Thank you, Barb. All right. Well, listen, this has been a great show. We're going to go around the Brady Bunch screen now with just Jenny and I. And Jenny, tell us who we're going to be in 30 seconds or less. You go first.
I'm pretty much just working and staying pretty busy with all my new endeavors and just trying to stay on track in 2023 and laugh at Republicans. I'm worried about the term LatinX.
So, I don't know why I'm just anyway. So I will be. Barb, do you have time to tell us where you're going to be, or
I'm going to be up in Winston-Salem helping my friends remodel the kitchen. And yes, gas stoves are being discussed. And she is such a green person. When I said, you're going to get a gas stove, oh my God, I thought she was going to go right through the ceiling. Oh, it was interesting.
Well, we don't have a gas stove. Would we get one? Yeah, because I grew up with a gas stove, which may be why I have allergies. So, all right. So I'm sure we will be either camping or here or doing something. This has been a great show. I do want to remind everyone that next week, our very first show of February, because you're watching this on January 25th, the last Wednesday of January, the first show of February, we hope to have Dr. B back again. He was just here. The title of the show is Anti-Vaxxers Still Think They're Brain Surgeons? Believe it or not, there's still a few anti-vaxxers left. You remember we did a show a while back called our Anti-Vaxxers Brain Surgeons?
Yeah.
And all these people that were all outraged about, you don't really hear a lot about that, but there's still a couple of them that are saying that, vaccines are growing, you're going to grow a tail, or I don't know what, all that kind of stuff. So we'll have that show. And then we'll also have a couple of other ones in February. But the one that I'm really looking forward to is the third show in February, the Lulette Culture Wars, the League of United Latin American Citizens, which is the civil rights group for Latinos and Latinas, or the Latinx individuals. And they're going through a culture war. They have fired an executive director, and there are some people. It's really it's a family feud going on, which is one of the reasons we're having a hard time forming our chapter in Charlotte, because we don't know who the executive president is. And then the very last show of February, who are the real America groomers? We'll talk about who are the ones being arrested. So we will talk about that, and I'm sure anyway, it'll be interesting. So with that said, thank you so much, Jenny. Welcome back. And, whenever you can join us, I know Jenny's got a lot of things going on, so hopefully she'll be with us as many shows as we can. But when we do have her, the show goes so much more smooth. So, so you have music for us, or
Yeah.
should I just do my invisible dancing?
We can do the dancing, but
That's right. I just like shaking. All right. Bye, y'all.
bye,
See you
y'all.
next week.
Thanks for watching. Hey, y'all. Thanks for watching, and happy 2023. I am back on the air after a little vacation there, and hope everybody's well. Thanks for watching. See you next week.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Next up, thanks for watching Coffee and Pan Dulce. Next up is Two Queers in a Truck. Stay tuned.